It's Varon time at the Ridge. Stone grabs the weekend trifecta. We take the white flag with one of the top pro stock competitors. This is Race Pro Weekly, where we get you right into the action. Literally. Welcome to another edition of Race Pro Weekly. I'm your host, Mike Warren. On opening night at Glen Ridge, Mark Johnson took the first modified feature under the Mike Soul regime at the Speedway, and with the second one coming up, there was a bunch of heavy hitters who had a shot of taking home the win. Field would come to the green flag at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park, as it would be the 6H of Josh Owenforth, the Apollo Rocket, taking the early lead in the event. But defending champion Bobby Varon in the 85 machine would go to the outside, and he would take the race lead in the early going of this affair. A few cars on the move, including the 20C of Craig Hansen, the 14 of C.G. Morey as well, and Elmo Reckner would put the number 17 machine into the number 3 spot. Then go to work on the Apollo Rocket for spot number 2, and he would settle in behind the 85 of Bobby Varon. 2011 track champion Kenny Tremont would be on the move, as well as he would go to the inside of C.G. Morey for position, as the caution will come out for some right front damage on the 711 of Jamike Soul. Off of the restart, it would be the 85 of Bobby Varon back in the lead, Reckner sitting in the number 2 spot, but here comes the Sand Lake Slingshot. He'd dive underneath the 20 of Hansen to take the number 3 spot as they made their way down the front stretch. Former champion Jeremy Wilder getting into the fray as well. And then you'd see Tremont go underneath the 17 of Reckner to get the number 2 spot and set his sights on Varon. However, there was no catching him, as Bobby Varon would take home the victory. Varon would pick up his first win of 2014. Kenny Tremont would have a second consecutive second-place finish. Elmo Reckner third, Mark Johnson fourth, and Jeremy Wilder finishing in fifth. So far on the season, the Jersey Jet Brett Hearn has pulled off a nothing short of stellar run with a second, a first, and a first. You'd only had to wonder whether he'd do it again Friday. Little in-car camera action from the Ravenna Rocket Keith Flack, as it would be Brian Gleason and Rich Ronca leading the field of the green in the 35-lap feature event, as the drive for 3 in a row for Brett Hearn would begin here in this feature. Gleason would come around. He would be the leader off of lap number 1, as Mike Perotti will be lurking behind the top 2, as Gleason's teammate Matt DiLorenzo would be making his way up through the field, as you see him get by the 14 of C.G. Morey. Brett Hearn, Kenny Tremont, and Mark Johnson, staples of the Speedway throughout the last couple of years, all running together, trying to get by each other, as it would be Brett Hearn muscling past the 43 of Keith Flack right there, but he would still be trying to get by the 3J and the 115. Matt DiLorenzo at the same time was having some trouble with the 959 of John Lutz and the 667 of Matt Depew, as he would be trying to make his way up through the field, but a caution for the 17 of Elmo Reckner would set the field back together, and that was when the 3D would strike. Matt DiLorenzo would go to the outside as he would try to race his teammate Brian Gleason. Then he'd drop to the low side and get by the 14G with ease, as Brett Hearn right behind them would be running with the 35 of Perotti and the 2 of Ronnie Johnson, and he'd get the benefactor of the 3 wide run, as now he would move up into the top 3. DiLorenzo would go underneath the 4 of Rich Ronca for the number 1 spot, as he would take the race lead, but Brett Hearn would follow, and now the battle was on for 2 Titans in the modified division. Hearn would go to the inside lane of DiLorenzo, but couldn't get him that time, but he'd push a little bit harder, and that time it would be the Jersey Jet sliding up in front of him and taking the race lead away. The 20 of Hearn would continue to lead. This one is Tremont trying to get through to get into the top 5, but no one, and I mean no one, can stop the Jersey Jet at Malta, as he picks up 3 in a row.
We've worked really hard on this car over the winter. It's the first new car I've had in a couple of years, and it's just really working, man. It's amazing what I could do when the holes open up, and I got to give my main man Steve there a lot of credit. Been back in the shop with me and all winter long working on this thing and grinding and cutting and drilling and stuff, and it's working right now.
The Jersey Jet gets 3 straight wins. Matt DiLorenzo would finish in second, Ronnie Johnson third, Jimmy Control fourth, and Kenny Tremont would finish in the top 5. So far on the season at Lebanon Valley, Donnie Corellis and Brett Hearn have been the only 2 winners due to Mother Nature throwing us a bit of a curveball over the past couple of weeks. Would somebody step up and make it number 3? The Kingfish Mike King and the Wild Child Andy Bachetti would lead the field of the green in the main event of the evening, the modified feature at the Lebanon Valley Speedway. As in the early going, King would try to hold the advantage, but it would be the Wild Child doing his signature move on the low side and sliding up in front of the Kingfish to take the race lead as they made their way down the front stretch, complete lap number 1. Cars would be on the move in the event. You see Robbie Pitcher making his way to the top side as he would hit the wall hard in turn number 4, but keep it going as it would be Eddie Marshall keeping the spot. Bachetti would be out front for the early going of this one, but J.R. Hefner would be on the move as well as you see him get by the 55 of Mike King for the number 2 spot, and he would run down the 34 of Andy Bachetti and grab the lead before the caution came out for the 30-14 team car of Steve Hoff. Off of the restart, it would be J.R. Hefner taking advantage as he would continue to hold the race lead with Bachetti in tow in the number 2 spot. Kyle Hoffman would make his way underneath the 55 of Mike King to get into the top 5, looking for his best run of the season. Brett Hearn would also be on the move, but he would have to settle for the number 7 spot in this feature event, as no one would touch J.R. Hefner, as he would be the 3rd different winner of the season at the Lebanon Valley Speedway.
I thought I was going to be wore out by the time I got there, but the car kept gaining, and I said, boy, the tires are right in there. Our grooves are good, and as we were passing cars, we're just learning more and more about the track condition. That's what's tough. If you're leading the race, you're uncertain of what's going on around you. We had no choice but to find the fast lane. And I'll tell you what, the 8 Colorado Sun 74 is just unbelievable.
J.R. Hefner would pick up his first win of the season. Andy Bachetti would finish in 2nd, Kyle Hoffman 3rd, Kenny Tremont 4th, and Robbie Pitcher would round out your top 5. It's now time for this week's fan poll question. If you were a local car owner and could pick any driver to drive for you, who would it be and why? To cast your answer, head to Facebook or Twitter under the Race Pro Weekly banner, and your answers will be read on next week's show. Time to take a look at last week's answers, where the question was, who is your favorite track announcer and what makes him so special? Gail Chris went with Jim King. He is the best of the best. He knows racing and not just dirt racing. In my opinion, there is none better. He is and always will be the voice of Fonda. Dave Whitney says, Mike Warren, of course. I personally just don't see it, but I guess he's all right. Gerard Mayer said the announcer for all 3 Niagara region tracks, Clinton Krucka. He does an awesome job at all 3 venues. Keep up the great work, Clint. Brian McDonald says Shane Andrews. He knows the stars and cars and makes it very entertaining. He makes the fans a part of the event. Shane Andrews says anybody who has the drive and desire to pick up a microphone at any race should be appreciated for what they are trying to do. My favorite announcers are the fans. They make the most noise and are the most knowledgeable, and without them, we would not have a show. You're absolutely right, Shane. Without the fans, racing would not be what it is today. Some of the others that were in this segment, Gary Montgomery, Dan Martin, and John Stanley, 2 mentors of mine, Uncle Art, Tim Pitch, Joe Murata, Josh Phillips, and Jack Burgess in there as well, and of course, Johnny Gibson, the voice of the World of Outlaw STP Series. Performance. Quality. Service. That's DMC Racing Products. Hundreds of name brand parts. Competitive prices. That's DMC. DMC Racing Products. Race to win. During the modified feature at the Lebanon Valley Speedway a week ago, Andy Bachetti saw a big lead evaporate through the midway point of the race, and one of the reasons was due to his power steering going on the Garrity Asphalt Reclaiming car number 34 machine. The power steering fluid actually broke all over his foot, giving him a burning sensation on his shoe throughout the feature event, which was a tough break for him, but at least he still walked away with a second place finish. second leg of the Grit Series Tour as Derek McGrew and Mark Mortensen would lead the field up to the green at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park. Connor Cleveland would make a move to the inside of Mortensen early. He'd take the number 2 spot away, trying to follow the McGrew machine. Rocky Warner and Dave Marcachilli on the move, trying to get by Daryl Nutting as they made their way into turn number 3 and 4 this time, as a lot of close quarter racing, which is the norm at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park, continuing here in the early going. Mortensen now trying to hold off the 79 of Rocky Warner as Warner would continue to make his way up through the field. Timmy Hartman as well in only his first weekend back from Florida. Rocky Warner would make his way around the outside of Derek McGrew. He'd take the number 1 spot away as a couple cars slowing, as down on the front straightaway, Daryl Nutting would be hooked into the inside of turn number 4. Off the restart, it would be Warner taking the lead on Derek McGrew once again up into turn number 1 and 2. Mortensen trying to follow and get by McGrew. A couple cars get together as Scott Dool narrowly misses some action as a couple cars get together. Matt Hitchcock involved. The 7T of Timothy Davis as well. As off the restart on this one, it would be Warner taking advantage once again, and now Marcachilli would go to work on the 26 of Derek McGrew once again. Marcachilli would take the number 2 spot away. Shea Montgomery trying to make his way up through the field as Pesolano and Matt Hitchcock fight for position, but it would be Hitchcock spinning off of turn number 4 as we would go back under caution once again, and off the restart, Marcachilli would make a move to the inside lane. He tried to take the spot away, and now Warner would slide back up in front of him. Warner would take the race lead once again as they continue to fight tooth and nail up into turn number 2. As they made their way down the front straightaway, contact would send a car up into turn number 1, bringing out the caution with just 1 lap to go. Off of the restart, Warner would make his way up into the corner. He tried to take the lead on Marcachilli. Marcachilli would file underneath, but as they made their way down the back straightaway, it would be the Flying Squirrel nosing ahead. Final time through the corner, would he have enough momentum off of it? It would be Rocky Warner picking up $2,711. Rocky Warner would pick up the victory. Dave Marcachilli would finish in second. Timmy Hartman Jr. third. Brian Pesolano fourth. And Brian Crummell would round out your top 5. In the Pro Stock feature event, Nick Stone would pick up the victory. Jim Normoyle would finish in second. Dennis Joslin would finish in third. Cousin Luke Horning finishing fourth, and Randy Kosselman would round out your top 5. The Fonda Speedway was back after a 2-week hiatus, with only a couple of winners so far in Matt Shepard and Stuart Friesen, who would put their names in the record books beside those 2 big guns. Craig Hansen and Jeff Trombley would lead the field to the green for the 30-lap modified feature at the Track of Champions, as Hansen looking to pick up the victory is early going. A few cars trying to make their way up through the field, and that would include the 34 of Vinny Sanginetti up there as well as he tried to make his way through, but it would be Hansen coming around to lead lap number 1. Sanginetti would slow right in front, almost collecting a few cars as Brian Gleason would get caught on the inside of turn number 2, as that would bring out the caution, and off the restart, Trombley would do his best to try to get around the 20 of Hansen, trying to take the position away. Jimmy Davis looking to make his way up through the field, including Mark Kozlowski and Jeremy Wilder as well, and C.G. Morey making a big pass to take the number 3 spot away, as he would move in to try to pick up a top finish. Stuart Friesen and Elmo Reckner would fight for position midway through the pack as they would try to make their way up, but it was very tough to pass on this treacherous Fonda surface as Elmo Reckner would get by Friesen once again. Johnson and Kozlowski would be fighting for position as well towards the back half of the top 10 as Jeff Trombley continued to try to run down the 20C of Craig Hansen, but Hansen was out to a big distance here in this feature event. Hansen would come up on slower traffic as he'd get by Brian Gleason and try to go to work on the 21 of Pep Karate, and that would be all she wrote as Craig Hansen would pick up the win at the Fonda Speedway.
Oh, it's unbelievable to get a win at Fonda. It keeps getting tougher and tougher every year, and you cherish them more and more every time you get one.
Craig Hansen would take home the win. Jeff Trombley would finish in second. C.G. Morey finishing in third. Bodie Bellinger fourth, and Jeremy Wilder would finish in fifth. Modified feature event at the Fulton Speedway would see Lightning Larry White leading the field up to the green as he would have Tim Courier and Jimmy Phelps chasing them in the early going as Phelps would make a bid on the inside, but it would be the Gypsum Express car number 99L leading lap number 1. Billy Decker getting into a little bit of a tough tumble in turn number 3 as you see his car was destroyed. He'd get out and would be waving to the fans. No right guard joke as you may have seen from him before as that car is destroyed. We can only hope he can get back out there next week. Rob Bellinger would be fighting along with Willie Decker and Courier for that number 2 spot. But at the front of the field, it would be all Larry White as he would continue to lead this one as Jimmy Phelps and Bellinger continue their side-by-side battle as they make it through the final time through the corner. However, Lightning Larry White picks up the win at Fulton.
I know I was getting through the lab traffic pretty good, and I was hoping it'd hold everybody else up, and then seemed to be as soon as we got to it, the yellow would come out, we have to restack.
Lightning Larry White would pick up the win. Jimmy Phelps finishing in second, Rob Bellinger third, Tim Courier fourth, and the Genoa Giant Pat Ward fifth. Other winners on the night in the SUNY Canton Sportsman, it was Greg Martin. In the Napa Late Models, it was Tim Sears Jr. In the Novice Sportsman, Wade Chrisman. In the 305 Sprints, Gordy Button. And in the four-cylinder stocks, it would be Justin Busk. And also the held over feature, Chuck Powalczyk would take home the four-cylinder race from April 25th. It's now time for this week's Berkshire County Network Driver Spotlight with modified competitor Kyle Sheldon.
Race Pro Weekly is brought to you by Racing Electronics, your #1 source for professional race communications worldwide. Rainmaker Productions, co-promoters of the Lou Lazzaro Memorial Race at Fonda Speedway on May 24th. Sheldon Oil Services, recycling for your future. And by Pilot Graphic Designs, signs, banners, decals, and so much more. Give Dan a call today at 315-539-3484.
It's not something you choose, it chooses you. It's something you're born with. It's a passion that consumes you. Being an outlaw is not for the weak. Being an outlaw is in your blood. Only an outlaw can survive a grueling 90-race schedule. 40,000 miles on the road, going from track to track. It's not about being posse or all-star. It's about being an outlaw. Only the best can call themselves outlaws. I'm Darren Pittman, World of Outlaws STP sprint car driver, and I'm an outlaw.
Sayers Auto Wrecking Incorporated is a towing service and an auto salvage yard. We offer 24-hour roadside assistance and damage-free towing. Our wreckers are radio dispatched for your convenience, and we're AAA approved for your peace of mind. On the auto salvage side, we pay top dollar for junk vehicles and sell a wide variety of used auto parts. We also buy scrap metals, including aluminum, copper, steel, and brass. You can learn more about all we do by calling Sayers Auto Wrecking today at 413-358-4374.
There's only one place in the Capital Region for you to get the full racing action. Stop down at the Bobco video booth at the track or call 518-399-0937. Bobco Racing Video, the next best thing to being there.
I'm here today at Fonda Speedway with Adam McCullough, who races the number 234 in the 602 Sportsman division here at the track. Adam, I first want to ask you, how did you get involved in racing?
Well, I've been racing since I was about 4 years old. I started on a four-wheeler on the ice. My mom actually brought me. My dad didn't. My Uncle John, he's been racing for God knows how long. He's got to be a dinosaur by now. But it all started back when I was about 4, and the whole family, my grandfather, raced street stocks at Malta, and John's been racing forever, and that's about where it started.
So your mom got you involved, so your mom's got the racing bug. It's that side of the family.
Yeah, either that or she just kicked Dad out and wanted to go.
Yeah. Now, what is your most memorable finish? Is it something here at Fonda, another track?
Well, it would have to be my first win here at Fonda, because Fonda is such a difficult racetrack, and if you can win here, they say you can win just about everywhere, and it was my first year, and we haven't had one since. I got four that year, but that had to be it.
All right, we're gonna get a little funny here. Kind of word association. Hards or softs?
I guess it depends, but I guess it all just depends. I'm gonna leave it at that.
All right, now how you liking these new tires, different from the American racers from last year?
Well, the Hoosiers are a lot of tire prep, and it takes a little more time and effort, and the American racers seem to wear out a little bit quicker, but the Hoosiers seem to last, and I'm getting used to them. I've always been on American racers, but they're doing okay.
Opening night for the small block modified saw the 68 of Alligator Art Collins lead the field to the green as they made their way up into the east end of the speedway for the first time, but that would be when trouble would happen as Steve Mier would get sideways, collecting a number of cars, 9 to be exact on this one, and we have a better look at this one for you from the front of Ryan Darcy's car as you see Kim Lavoie go right up into the wreckage and take a tough hit off the 36 machine and end up on the turn 2 wall. All drivers would be okay, few of them making it back out to run the rest of the event. Off of the restart, it would be Alligator Art Collins making his way back to the front of the field, but the car on the move in this one would be the Reifenberg Construction number 1, the Flying Farmer, Jason Harrington, as he would try to go to work on the 25 of freaking fast Frankie Harper. The 1 would make his way to the inside as he would try to pull down and get the slide job on the 25. Harper tried to make the crossover move, but could not get it, and now it would be Harrington into the number 3 spot. Brian Sandstedt and Chad Jezio on the Rockstar Energy car number 25 machine, also trying to work their way up towards the front, and now Harrington would go to the outside of Steve Huff. He'd take the number 2 spot away and try to run down Artie Collins, but it would not be enough as Art Collins takes the opener for the small blocks. Alligator Artie Collins would lead wire to wire to pick up the 358 modified feature event victory. Jason Harrington would finish in 2nd, Steve Huff 3rd, Chad Jezio 4th, and Frank Harper would finish in 5th. Other winners on the night in the Pro Stocks, it would be Jay Casey. Stephen LaRochelle would win the Boomers Clash. On the 3 that were scheduled for May 3rd in the Pure Stocks, Larry Perez, Stephen LaRochelle, and Ray Hall Sr. would get the wins. And in the 3 regularly scheduled Pure Stock feature events, it would be Scott Morris, Jeff Meltz, and Gary O'Brien. 25-lap Pro Stock feature event would be led to the green by the 21 of Dave DiPaolo and the 97 of Dan Older. And this one got a little crazy in the early going. Robbie Speed gets into Byron Westcott, collecting a calamity of cars in between turn number 3 and 4 as an early of caution of what was many on the night. Off of the restart, cars would try to regroup their way up into turn number 1 and 2 when it would be Walt Brownell getting into Dave DiPaolo, collecting a number of cars again up in turn number 1 and 2, including points leader Rob Yetman and the 93 of Kenny Martin. And well, Walt Brownell, to say he's not happy might be an understatement. Off the restart, Robbie Speed would make his way to the inside of Dan Older, trying to take the number 1 spot away. As he go up into turn number 1 and 2, he'd get it down the back straightaway. But lurking right behind him is that number 27 machine of Nick Stone, who bested him a week earlier. Stone would go to the inside of the 97 of Older for the number 2 spot, as he would take the position away as a caution will come out for the 14 of Kim Duell on the front stretch with 6 to go, regrouping the field. Stone would take a look-see to the inside lane to see if he'd have something for the man with speed in his name. He wouldn't be able to get him that time. Then he'd go to the outside to see if he had anything for him. However, this was all Robbie Speed would need to take home the victory. However, he would fail post-race inspection, giving the win to Nick Stone.
Robbie was definitely fast tonight, but, this car is actually hooked up well everywhere we go, but unfortunately I guess Robbie got DQ'd there, which gave us the win, but I guess we'll take him any way we can get him.
In the Pro Stocks, it would be Nick Stone getting the win, Rob Yetman finishing 2nd, Dan Older 3rd, Byron Westcott 4th, and Brandon Amy finishing 5th. Other winners on the night, Jeremy Pitts would win the Sportsman, Rob Maxson would get the Limited Sportsman victory, Randy Miller would take home the win in the Street Stocks, and the Empire Lightning Sprints winner would be Doug Norrie. Chris Schaefer and Brian Pesolano would bring the field to the green in the 20-lap Sportsman feature event at the Fonda Speedway as they were anxious to get back to work after a 2-week layoff. Pesolano would go to the outside of Schaefer, trying to take the number 1 spot away as they came off of turn number 4, and it would be Pesolano taking the advantage at the flag stand as he would look to try to pick up the victory. Mortensen would work to the outside of Schaefer, trying to take the number 2 spot away as they would go side by side up into turn number 1. But as they went down the backstretch along the river, it would be Mortensen taking the number 2 spot away as he would set his sights on Pesolano. Mortensen and Pesolano will be side by side getting into a little bit of lap traffic, and Mortensen would use the lap traffic like a Shaquille O'Neal screen as he would take the race lead down the back straightaway. That would be all he needed as Mark Mortensen would pick up the win in the Sportsman.
Kind of glad to see the lap cars coming to work towards my advantage because they were on the top and the bottom, and I got lucky because I went for the bottom and the guy slid up just enough where I could sneak my nose in, and the other guy went up and kind of blocked him, and I took advantage of it.
Mark Mortensen would pick up the win in the Sportsman. Brian Pesolano would finish in second. Chris Schaefer would finish third. Ray Zemkin fourth. And Justin Alspelmeyer would round out your top 5. Other winners on the night were Nick Stone in the Pro Stocks, John Bratt in the Street Stocks, and Kenny Hollenbeck in the 4 cylinders. It's now time to take a look at our weekend battles. At the Airborne Park Speedway up in Plattsburgh on the asphalt, the 50-lap opener went to Jesse Mueller. Leon Gagno would finish in second, Greg Atkins third, Chris Vernold fourth, and Chris Caillet would round out your top 5. Big Diamond Raceway, it would be Ray Swinehart picking up the win, Jeff Strunk finishing second, Billy Pouch Jr. third, Dwayne Howard fourth, and Mr. Freeze, Stuart Friesen, finishing in fifth. At the opener at the Brockville, Ontario Speedway, the Little Hammer, Stefan LaFrance picking up the win. Danny O'Brien would finish in second, Pat O'Brien third, Kyle Dingwall fourth, and Jason Riddle would round out your top 5. At the Land of Legends, Billy Dunn would pick up the win. Justin Ayers would finish in second, AJ Slideways, Alan Johnson third, the Hurricane Steve Payne fourth, and Matt Shepard fifth. At the I-88 Speedway, Sean Walker would pick up the win. Chad Cook finishing in second, Mitch Gibbs third, Mike Mahaney fourth, and Brad Alger would round out your top 5. At the opener at the Merrittville Speedway, Chad Brockman would pick up the win. Pete Bicknell finishing in second, Matt Williamson third, Tommy Flanagan fourth, and Ryan Soucies would round out your top 5. At New Egypt Speedway, no, it was not Billy Pouch, it was Ryan Godown picking up the victory. David Van Horn finishing in second, Danny Bauk third, Billy Pouch fourth, and Willie Osmond finishing fifth. At Penn Can, it would be Kevin Hartnett picking up the win, Nick Rashinsky finishing in second, Dan Pompey third, Alex Stanton fourth, and Mike Loney fifth. Down to the Thunder Mountain Speedway, which was $1,992 to win in the opener, Brent Wilcox would take home the victory, Brett Tonkin finishing in second, Brian Malcolm third, Nick Rashinsky fourth, and the Doctor, Danny Johnson, rounding out your top 5. At the Utica Rome Speedway, Twin 20s would be on the docket. Willie Decker would pick up the win in feature number 1, with Mike Bowman finishing second, Tim Fuller third, Larry White fourth, and Matt Janzik rounding out your top 5. In the second feature, it would be Pat Ward passing Mike Mahaney on the final lap to pick up the victory. Mahaney would have to settle for second, Matt Shepard third, Danny Varon fourth, and Willie Decker fifth. And finally, at the Woodhull Raceway, Ron Cartwright would pick up the win. Billy Van Pelt would finish in second, Eric Fisher third, Zeke the Streak, Ray Bliss finishing in fourth, and Frank Dunning would round out your top 5. The Choices 301 program takes a multifaceted approach aimed at educating the public about the realities and dangers of what can happen when bad decisions are made inside a motor vehicle. Don't hesitate to designate. If you are a track or series that would like to be highlighted on Race Pro Weekly, email us at show@raceproweekly.com. Over the past few years in the Pro Stock division, Rob Yetman has been one of the top drivers running, including picking up a big win at Syracuse a year ago. This week, we take the white flag with Yetman, who is looking to pick up his second consecutive title at the Albany-Saratoga Speedway.
Rob, good start to the 2014 season. What is your thoughts on the season so far?
It's been great. You know, we had a win opening night, and we had a great race with Kenny Martin there last week, and got 5th tonight. Trying to figure out what went wrong tonight, but it was a good points night anyway. Yeah, we're gonna, you know, just want to keep digging here. I really want to get the championship again if we can, and you know, back to Syracuse, see how that goes, and maybe a little dirt series. We're just not sure if we're gonna do the whole thing yet.
Talking about Super Dirt Week 2013, found you in victory lane. What was it like to win that race?
Awesome. It's awesome. There's nothing like that. Everybody in these pits and everywhere else wants to win that race. So I mean, to win that, it's pretty special.
What is it about these full-fendered pro stocks that attract so much attention and keep people in it for years?
Well, you know, the same thing as watching the guys on Sunday here with the NASCAR. That's what I think everybody associates them with, and it's the closest thing. And, you know, it's just something you'd see on the road every day, and we have a blast with it.
What are your plans for 2014? Where will we see you run on a regular basis?
We'll be at Albany-Saratoga every Friday night, and we've got a ride with Milo Campbell right now. It's going to be week to week. I think when he gets feeling a little better, he'll probably do a little racing himself, but we'll be in that until further notice.
You know, we talked a little about these full-fendered cars. What is it that makes them so much fun and, you know, week-to-week, side-to-side racing?
Oh, I mean, like that race me and Martin had last week. You know, it's almost unheard of to go 14 laps side by side like that, but, you know, me and Kenny have been around a while, so it's, you know, we know each other there, and some good racing, but it's not always that good, but you get them nights where, you know, that had to be a crowd pleaser last week.
What does Rob Yetman do for fun outside of racing?
Well, you don't get a lot of fun doing this. Yeah, you got to be in the garage so much. A good night for us is going out. We'll go to K's Pizza or something during the week if we get a night off, but I have to put in a lot of time running my business, Quality Lawn Care and Seal Coating. That takes up a lot of time, and you know, just trying to make this thing win in the garage is where it's at.
It's now time for our NISCA Performer of the Week, and this week's winner is Nick Stone, picking up wins on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. Stone is now eligible for the Performer of the Year award given out at the end of the season. That's all for this week's show. For the latest news, results, and photos, check out Race Pro Weekly online, www.raceproweekly.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So for myself, Matt Knowles, Fast Eddie, Scott Morlock, Amber Chalmers, Dave Del Sandro, and everyone that helps put Race Pro Weekly together, thank you for watching this week's episode, and we'll see you next time.